Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Bree from Homemade on Our Homestead. Thank you for joining me for another tutorial video today. As you can see, the setting has changed a little bit here and I am outside. It is a gorgeous day in the Pacific Northwest, so I thought it would be the perfect backdrop to start this video off. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make this really gorgeous, elegant, but very simple linen snap bandana. So I created this pattern, a piece to go with your summer and or spring wardrobe. It snaps on in just a second. It is perfect for traveling, goes really with any outfit because it's linen, so it has that gorgeous natural drape to it. But it's also really lightweight and really comfortable to wear. Let's go ahead, jump into the sewing room and get started with today's project. Let's go ahead and talk about supplies before we get started with today's project. You're going to need 2 pieces of 15" by 15" 100% linen fabric. You can use any linen color of your choice. You're going to need a ruler, a rotary cutter, or a pair of scissors. You're going to need a sewing machine and thread, and then a snap punch with some plastic snaps. Let's go ahead and get our pieces cut. Take 2 pieces of linen fabric. Now I'm just using some scraps that I had left over from a pillow sham that I made. So that's what I'm going to be using. Again, these pieces are going to be cut 15" by 15" square. If you'd like a bit larger of a bandana, then cut an 18 by 18. All right, now that we finished cutting our 2 pieces of fabric to the dimensions that we needed, we're gonna head over to the sewing machine and we're gonna sew a 1/4" seam all the way around the bandana, leaving a 4" opening to turn. So through this opening, we'll turn the bandana right side out, then we'll give it a press, we'll do some top stitching, and then we'll attach our snaps. All right, so for this part of the sewing project, you do have the option of taking some sewing pins or sewing clips, and you can pin this all together if you're a beginning sewer and you're worried about the fabric shifting. For me today, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this up. All right, I'm over at my sewing machine. I've checked to make sure that I have enough bobbin thread in, and my machine is threaded with a thread that really blends in with this linen fabric. Now, if you wanted to do something a little bit different, you could use a coordinating thread that's really going to stand out. Personally, I like more neutral tones. I like things to kind of blend in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and sew it with a thread that matches the linen fabric. And if you'd like to know what thread that is, check the description box down below and I'll make sure I have a link to that thread that I'm using. So again, we're going to be sewing a 1/4" seam all the way around this, and then we're going to leave a 4" opening, give or take a little bit, to turn this right sides out. So let's go ahead and sew. So now let's head over to our cutting station and we're going to just clip all of these corners off. This is just going to kind of make it so there's less bulk in the corner. It's going to be a lot easier to turn, and the corners of the bandana are going to lay a lot flatter than they would if you would leave all this extra fabric in there. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll get this turned right sides out. We're going to then give it a press at our ironing board, and then we're going to come back and top stitch it with our machine and attach our buttons. All right, so we've just finished sewing up our side seams, left that 4-inch gap in the corner. Now go ahead and take a pair of scissors or your rotary cutter and just nip off those little extra pieces of fabric on the corner. Just be really careful when you're doing this that you don't cut through those lines that you just stitch up. So do that to all 4 corners. Now that you've done that, take a turning tool. Now for this in particular, you really can use anything. Chopsticks work great if you're a knitter or a crocheter. Either of those will work to use as your turning tool to help press those corners out. So go ahead and just ease this right sides out. Go ahead and you can just give it a shake. Then take your turning tool that you're going to be using and you're going to insert that in through that hole that you left, and you're going to go down to the corners of your bandana scarf here, and you're just going to poke those corners out. Just be really careful because linen fabric is really a woven fabric and it's really lightweight. You can poke through it really easily, so just be careful when you're doing this part that you don't poke all the way through your fabric. All right, so I've pressed out all these corners. It's looking like a hot mess. It's super wrinkly. So go ahead and turn your iron on, and we're gonna kind of just take our fingers and roll the seams out a little bit. I like these to lay really nice and flat. And you're just gonna do that all the way around, pressing on each one of the sides. And then when you get to this part here where there's the opening, you're kind of just gonna fold this down by hand and give it a press till it looks like the right size. Press that, and then we're gonna top stitch this as well. So let's head over to our ironing board and get this thing pressed out. So I have my wool pressing mat out, I have my iron turned on. I'm just gonna go ahead and ease those seams out all the way around. Then I like to give it a press. Sometimes I find if you try to work the seams out with just an iron, it doesn't seem to lay quite as flat. And usually just the heat of your fingers and the pressing motion and the rolling of the linen between your fingers, you can get it really pretty flat. So at this point, if you were doing that all the way around and you didn't feel like you needed to iron it, you definitely wouldn't have to. All right, so this side is pretty good. I've rolled this seam out with my fingers as much as possible. Just gonna take the iron to it, give it a little press. And go ahead and do this until your entire bandana is laying nice and flat. It's pressed, it looks nice and crisp. And then we'll go ahead and top stitch. Sides of our bandana are nice and iron flat. We're gonna head over to our sewing machine and we're gonna top stitch a 1/4 inch all the way around, making sure that we catch this opening here where we turned. So if you want to, I have before made 2 lines of stitching, a 1/4 inch apart all the way around. It just adds a little bit more decorative flair to it, but you can do 1 line of stitching. It's really up to you. If you're a free motion quilter, it's really fun to free motion this, do a design on it. If you have an embroidery machine, you could definitely take that and embroider a beautiful decorative stitch along this edge too. So just have fun with it, get creative, and just make it your own. So we're gonna head back over to the machine. I'm just gonna do a quick top stitch on this, and then we're gonna get our buttons attached. All right, so usually when I begin sewing a project like this, I really like to start with that edge that has the opening on it, just to make sure that it's gonna catch and that there's no opening left. It's closed shut for sure. So I like to start there, but if you're not worried about it, really it doesn't matter where you begin sewing. I always just find starting on a corner that's a little bit less conspicuous is good. So again, 1/4 inch, we're gonna back stitch at the start and the stop. So at this point you can stop here, go ahead and trim up any loose threads that could be poking through your thread from your start and stop on the corner, get that trimmed off. And I think for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and do one more line of stitching 1/4 inch away from this original one, just to give it a little bit more texture. Again, this part is completely optional. This is just more decorative work, but it's not something you need to do. All right, if you chose to make that extra line of stitching, again, go ahead and trim up your threads. But now you have just completed the sewing portion of this project. So let's go back over, attach our snaps, and then we'll be all finished. All right, final step of our project, and for this you're going to need these plastic snap pliers and the snaps. So this is just one of the tools that I have. My preferred one is my cam snap tool, and that one came with, I think, 30 different colors of the plastic snaps. Unfortunately, I'm still trying to get moved into my sewing room right now. Not everything is unpacked, and so this is the one that I could find. So this is the one we're going to be using, but I will put a link in the description box below of the one that I prefer. But this one does work just as well. So you're going to need your snap tool, your box of snaps, and then this particular one came with an awl, which is just going to be used to start the hole for your snap. So you're going to need one of those two. You don't have to use the one that came with the kit. If you have a regular sewing awl, that will work as well. So I personally like the snaps being on one of the corners where I had this opening at, just because this is for sure going to be hidden. It's going to be behind your neck. So if you have any, questions about whether or not you caught the edge, if it's stitched down properly, it's going to be behind your head anyway, so nobody's going to see it. So I personally prefer to put a snap on that corner and then the one directly across from it, but it really doesn't matter. So lay it out like a diamond shape. You're going to go ahead and grab your box of snaps. So for this, you're going to need 2 of the caps, which is the flat side. Then you're going to need 1 piece that looks like this and 1 piece that looks like that. And these obviously snap into each other. So for this part of the project, you're going to need your snaps, your awl, and you're going to use 2 of the flat plastic caps, and then 1 of each of the pieces that will snap together. So you'll have a set of each, just like that. And if you have any questions about this, most of these plier sets come with really great directions demonstrating how to use it, which pieces that you'll need. And it's always great if you have a scrap piece of fabric and extra snaps just to give it a try. So you know how they go together and kind of what to expect when putting it on certain types of fabric. Start in one of your corners, and where you place the snap is really up to you. I'm going to put mine about a 1/2 inch from the corner down in. So you're going to take that awl, you're going to ease it through your fabric, just like that. Once it's made the hole, you're going to take the plastic cap with the little sharp piece on the end, and you're going to poke that up through the hole. Make sure you press your fabric down so you can see that little spike. And then you're going to take either one of your pieces, it doesn't really matter which one you do first, and you're going to set that right on top of that little spike sticking out of your fabric. So you're going to take this flat cap and you're going to place that into this little black dish on your plier set here. Make sure that it's centered in the dish. You can kind of hear it snap into place. Then you're going to take that handle, gently press it down, and what it's doing is it's smashing the little piece of plastic in the center of this top piece here. Go ahead and give it a good squeeze. Squeeze it a few times, really make sure it's flattened out. Release it slowly. And there you go. That snap is not going anywhere. You can tell this little piece of plastic inside here has been snapped. Okay. Now we're going to go to the opposite side using our awl, and about the same distance from the corner on this side, we're going to take our awl, poke it through. Now this is where you could really mess this up. So the way the bandana is lying right now, you have the shiny cap facing up. So on this side, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to want the shiny cap on the back side and the snap on the front side. So there's the little mark I made with my awl. Flip this over, take that little spike and poke it through that hole. Push the fabric down on that. Take the opposite cap. You should be able to look at it and see that it would snap over the top of that and snap into place. Put this one over that little spike. Again, taking your squeaky tool, take that shiny cap, place it into that little black dish. Make sure it's centered, and then just give it a few squeezes. Really want to make sure that's seated well. Release it, and there you go. It's nice and smashed down. So now, if you were to fold your bandana in half like that, when you went to clip it on, this is how you would wear it on your neck. It will clip like so. So this is what you'll see from the back. All right guys, so now we just finished our snap bandana. Let's go ahead and put it on and see how it looks. Take the two snaps, should be facing like this. Go ahead and just put it around your neck and you'll snap it into place. Just like that. So again, this can sit up a lot higher, depending on the weather outside. You can also take it, kind of grab it and give it a little fold so it lays down a lot more flat. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me for this DIY tutorial today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, leave a comment down below. Let me know if this is the kind of content you really enjoy seeing here on this channel. If you're new here, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and join us every week when I post DIY videos. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and I'll catch you for the next one. Bye.